TSN's Craig Button. We welcome him in this morning, of course, brought to you by the great staff at Pro-Am Sports. Check them out today. They've got the car flags, they've got the jerseys, they've got the hats. We mentioned yesterday, if you want to get rid of the bad Game 1 vibes, head down to Pro-Am, and they'll dress you up in whatever you need to shake that bad mojo from Game 1 and head into Game 2 tonight. Fully, freshly clothed, fresh car flags, fresh caps, whatever you got to do. Pro-Am Sports is your tailor. TSN's Craig Button this morning. Craig, welcome again. I don't know if you heard any of that preamble, but of course, Dusty, he's doing the lead hand. He's got the call for the WHL chip. Winterhawks and Warriors tonight, Game 1 from Portland. Unfortunately, a little technical difficulty, as you are all too familiar with those types of things. But joining us this morning, and I appreciate the time. Where are you? Where in the world is Craig Button this morning?
I'm in Toronto, and when you were telling me about the little desk and that Dustin was spread-eagled, I was thinking about trying to replicate that in my hotel room, but I decided, no, I'll just sit. I'm comfortable here. The Rose City, I mean, it's nice for Dustin and Kevin Sawyer to be doing the Western Hockey League final. Should be a dandy there between Portland and the Moose Jaw Warriors.
Well, you're no stranger at all to junior hockey. Just quickly, while we're on the topic, your thoughts on this series coming in. I mean, both of these teams getting past number 1 seeds in their respected conference. Just your quick thoughts on the Winterhawks Warriors WHL Championship series here.
Yeah, well, you nailed it, Eric. When you get past the 2 top teams in the respective conferences and you got to do it on the road, you're playing well. And both these teams have lots of offense. Certainly, I think the edge right now might go to the Portland Winterhawks in the net. Jan Spunar has been outstanding playing in the net. But, there's some, Jagger Furcus. The Furcus Circus, he is the most valuable player in the Western Hockey League, and he is top-notch. And Denton Matejchuk, the defenseman of the year in the Western Hockey League, those 2 guys drive so much of the play for the Moose Jaw Warriors. Dustin and Kevin Sawyer will be able to really enjoy a series that'll be spirited and loaded with lots of skill and lots. You think about junior hockey and we think about players going on to the NHL. You're getting a glimpse. You're getting a glimpse of players that will be playing in the NHL, and certainly an exciting time for these players as they try to win a championship and go to the Memorial Cup.
Yeah, the future is now, Craig, certainly, and it just seems like the Warriors played series with the amount of overtime they played. You can kind of chalk it up as 2 series that the Warriors had to go through in that Eastern Division. But I think we do have Dustin. Is Dustin back? Dustin
I'm back.
Twice?
I'm
okay,
back. I don't know what happened. I was
okay.
going to joke with Craig. Kevin and I are sharing a room. He's actually sleeping in the bed over there right now while I'm doing the show. But he's next door. He said he absolutely loves you, Craig. He was speaking very highly of you last night.
Yeah, well, that's nice to hear. Listen, junior hockey, you got to share rooms. You got to have roommates. So it's the way it goes, Dustin. You're not in the big leagues right now. You don't get that corner suite with all the amenities that they leave in your room. The fruit tray and the cheese tray. And
well, I'm getting to drink glass today from like a glass bottle. We're at a pretty nice hotel actually in Portland. It's the room's actually in a weird twist. This is a really nice room that I have here. So it's good. So, looking forward to that series. Game 1 tonight, Game 2 tomorrow here in Portland. And then the series will ship to Moose Jaw for games 3, 4, and, of course, 5 if necessary. Focus here, obviously, with Edmonton, Game 2 tonight as well. I mean, Craig, I don't think they can play much worse. How much of Game 1 do you think was what Edmonton didn't do, or were the Canucks just that good and contained McDavid and held the team to 15 shots on goal?
Well, so a couple things I would say is I think you always have to look at what a team did to stymie you. After the first period, Edmonton had 10 shots on goal. For the next 36 minutes, they had 4 shots on goal. They didn't get their 15th shot until they were down 5-4. I mean, like when you go 36 minutes with 4 shots and how well the Vancouver Canucks, but you got to give credit to the Vancouver Canucks. But I thought in the first period, they played well, and they certainly showed that they were, going to be a handful for the Vancouver Canucks. Well, when Vancouver made their adjustments, Edmonton didn't. And playoff hockey is about making adjustments. It's about understanding how you're going to play. I thought that Vancouver did a really solid job of opening up the ice, stretching out the ice. We saw that on the 4th and the 5th goals. But they defended hard. They're a good defensive team. They did that all through the year. And they were never going to beat the Edmonton Oilers trying to win 2-1. They needed to find some offense, and they did find some offense. Now, that being said, Edmonton, not sometimes, when you're in the playoffs and the team takes the game to another level in terms of we're going to get to space quicker, we're going to get to the pucks quicker, we're going to be on you quicker. Edmonton never adjusted to that. They never adjusted to that in the second and third periods. So is that a result of just kind of being off for a little bit of a while? Certainly could be, but they're going to have to find their game in terms of like being first, being next, and they weren't in that game. And that's why they were chasing back so much in the second and third period, and that's why they squandered a 4-1 lead.
We were talking on the show earlier here about, game 2 is never a must win. But considering how good the Canucks are, Craig, I mean, it's close. Like, this is a huge game for the Oilers tonight. You get to come home even if you're down 2-0 and get a couple, and who knows, you hold serve at home, and then we get the classic best of 3 scenario. How much do you think tonight's game, what if they play well and drop one? Are you still feeling pretty good coming home? You didn't get the split that everybody always wants. But if they play well and lose a tight one, I mean, in the playoffs, can you feel good about yourselves, or are you still just like, damn it, we're down by 2?
Well, you're down by 2. That's the reality. So then you have to deal with being down by 2. Here's how I look. I look at series when they start. I like to look at 3 games. The opening game to just see how the teams are going to play against one another. Now, there's some familiarity, but it's playoff time now. So you get game 1. So, Vancouver does their thing. Now game 2, what does Edmonton do different? How does Edmonton adjust? I mean, the Vancouver Canucks now can really seize significant control of this series. So just focusing on game 2, if Edmonton loses, okay, you're down 2-0, you're coming home. But now you got to win 4 of the next 5 games. That's a little bit daunting as you get deeper into the playoffs. That becomes a little bit harder to do. And I think that this becomes a really critically important game for the Edmonton Oilers. Coming home 1-1 is a lot better than coming down 2-0. And the Vancouver Canucks have a chance to put Edmonton Oilers like into a vice. And so that's what makes game 2 so exciting. And then we saw it with the Rangers in Carolina. We saw exactly Carolina goes back home. They play really well on Thursday night, and it gets to overtime. They end up tying. Shesterkin's been brilliant. They tied. Now what happens here is the Rangers push them right to the brink. And that's the risk of losing game 2 for the Edmonton Oilers. Now you're at risk of being pushed right to the brink, right to the ledge. And that's not where you want to find yourself, because all of a sudden a bad break, an overtime goal here, there, you might play really well. So, Rod Brindamore said after the game, he goes, geez, we haven't played that bad. You're right, Rod. You haven't pplayed that bad. You're down 3-0. Like, the bottom line is you haven't won a game.
That's what we said. We're like, if they lose game 2, it's not the end of the world, but you have no room for error. Like, you have no room for error coming home, which is exactly what Carolina got a dose of last night. When Saab Matthias Janmark, Craig, on the top line with McDavid in the first game of this series. Yesterday at practice, it was Warren Foegele, which I think makes a little bit more sense. But when you factor in no Adam Henrique, although he did skate yesterday. Leon Draisaitl didn't skate yesterday. And, as much as we are talking about that in town, I don't know if we can ever talk about that enough. I mean, we saw Leon Draisaitl play banged up in the playoffs and have success here. But, you probably get a pretty good gauge early in this game, should he play tonight, of what you're going to get from him the rest of the way.
Yeah, well, when he had the ankle, a couple of years ago, he was unbelievable on that ankle, obviously, and he looked, when Chris Knobloch said he was cramping, I could see that, and hopefully it's nothing more than that, because you start to get, and it looked like he just wasn't moving the way we're accustomed to seeing him move, and Henrique out, Draisaitl not at 100%, Janmark playing on that top line is a massive stretch. It's a massive stretch. And, the benefit that the Edmonton Oilers have is that Ryan Nugent-Hopkins can slide into the middle of the ice. But I would be more tempted to put other players up there. And Foegele has shown that he can play up in the lineup and play. I think it's way beyond Janmark's reach. And I think when you put Janmark up there, now it makes it a little bit easier to be able to mark Connor McDavid, because let's be serious here. Who is really going to be looking and going, well, we better check that number 13. No, let's just really put our resources to 97. And the Vancouver Canucks did exactly that.
Craig, from an Oilers point of view, what are you doing tonight to slow down that Lindholm-Joshua-Garland line? I know Luke Gazdic, I know it's listed as a third line, but he uses that in air quotes because this is something that caused the Oilers quite a bit of pain in Game 1. What are you doing to slow them down tonight?
Well, one of the things that I think that you have to do, it's not just that line, right? Like, and I said this about Connor McDavid on the flip side with Vancouver. Connor McDavid's going to get his chances. So, but don't give him chances. Don't give away chances. Make him work the whole 200. Now, it's different with that line, and I thought that Edmonton really got backed up, and now that's going to work into the favor of that line. Dakota Joshua is strong. Garland's a competitor, and Lindholm reads off of that. I think the Edmonton Oilers, when you're not skating, you're not pushing the pace, and you're not driving at them, you're going to be vulnerable to every line, not just one line. Now, obviously, Garland scores the winning goal. Lindholm gets that second goal. I mean, there's a lot of good play there. But any line's going to have success when they can continuously like ramp it up and keep coming at you and play at you. And certainly that was one of the adjustments that I think that Vancouver made. I mean, you think about that stretch play on the winning goal. I mean, a big part of that result is you didn't forecheck. You didn't press them. I mean, Zadorov steps out from, okay, I'll just wire it up the middle of the ice. I mean, look at the position of the Edmonton Oilers on that winning goal. It was abysmal. I mean, and that's where they got to clean up some things, and understandably so. You look at a team and you try to mark a line, but if you're going to play like that, you're going to be vulnerable, and that's why Edmonton had 4 shots through 36 minutes. That's why they weren't forechecking. They weren't in good position. They didn't take the initiative, and I think that's the number one thing the Edmonton Oilers have to do: get skating, get forechecking, and play the game forward. They were playing it back on their heels, and I think Vancouver just said, "Geez, these guys, we got them. We can do it. Let's get 1. Let's get 2. Okay, let's get 3." And all of a sudden, you're not just back on your heels; you're on your back. Spread eagled like Dustin in his hotel room.
I should have turned this desk around, Craig. I don't know. Like I am like out here right now. It's not I'll get a stretch in after the show today. That'll go over really well. A couple other things I want to get to. We hit briefly on Carolina and the Rangers, but Dallas yesterday. The situation that they were in, trying not to drop 2 at home again. And I think the entire building dropped the fucking up a little bit, because when Colorado turned it on in the third, my goodness, man, if that game has 3 more minutes, Colorado might be winning it. That was a wild third period last night.
It was, and you're up 4-0, and after you blow a 3-0 lead, and Colorado thought they were going to tie it. And you know who else thought they were going to tie it? Jake Ottinger. Ottinger was praying in that net that, like, don't take a shot on me. Oh, clock. He was probably watching that clock. Just come on, go faster, go faster. And right now, Jake Ottinger, he doesn't look sure of himself. And it's interesting because I said, you look at Shesterkin, and you know how it is. You're trying to find vulnerabilities in a goaltender where you can attack them and where there might be a little bit of an opening. Shesterkin shows 0 vulnerability. So that not only gives the New York Rangers this unbelievable confidence, it also demoralizes the opposition. Jake Ottinger is not giving his team very much confidence, and he certainly isn't demoralizing the Avalanche. I mean, I thought they were going to tie it. I really did, and there was a couple of plays there right around.
They almost did that one. The net was wide open, and it just trickled by. I was like,
oh yeah, I know. Dallas, played well. Rupa Hintz, they needed him to play well, and he did. But they escaped one again last night. And if you're going to play like that, Colorado looks like they're firing, and they're going. So Jake Ottinger right now not playing at a high level.
Craig, before we let you go, we have to discuss Toronto. Sheldon Keefe is out. No need to. I mean, you can name some names if you want, but what type of coach do you think is needed for that group in Toronto?
So it's an interesting conversation about it. Like, one of the things I think is that the way the team is constructed, and I'm talking about salary-wise. So when they made the commitment and to the 4 plus Riley and all the money that goes there, it prevented you from constructing a team that was balanced. They're not balanced. They don't have a balanced lineup. So how is that going to change? Like, let's put the best coach. Let's put John Cooper there. Let's put, any coach there. Let's take Chris Knobloch and put him in there and say, okay, fix this. I think that, Sheldon, he knows it's a results business and he knows he didn't get the results and he pays the price. I think the biggest problem for the Toronto Maple Leafs is how do they fix the roster and can they do it in the off season? There's a lot of talk about Rod Brind'Amour. I mean, a lot of talk. I should say a lot of time, but we keep hearing Rod Brind'Amour to Toronto. Yeah. Do you think Rod Brind'Amour's style of coaching is going to fit in Toronto? I don't. I don't think that that's a fit.
Carolina operates in a completely different way, right? Like a completely different way. Yeah.
Different way. So we keep talking about what does the team like? The team needs to understand that, like, as currently constructed, it's not going to win in the playoffs. Like I'd see no way. And everybody goes like defense. So it's not even about their defensive play. What you need is defensemen that can support the offensive thrust. They do not have defensemen that can do that. So now what they do, they got to sacrifice offense to play defense. And if they want to get on the offensive side of things, they got to sacrifice defense. Good teams, just look at good teams that win in the playoffs. They have a balance. The defense becomes really contributing. Other than Morgan Riley, who can make a play on the back end for the Toronto Maple Leafs? So you have an offensive group that's really gifted in Toronto, and you don't have the blue line that can. It's like having great wide receivers, Dustin, and a quarterback that can't throw the ball past 10 yards.
Yeah, you're done.
You are done. So the Toronto Maple Leafs, they're a flawed team. They're constructed. They're going to have a new coach, but until they fix the imbalance in the roster, good luck to whoever goes in there. Get a 6-year contract, and hopefully they can change the roster over the course of that time.
Craig, as always, man, great catching up with you. Thanks for the time today, and we'll catch up next Tuesday.
Yeah, enjoy. Well, I'm really looking forward to hearing you and Kevin on the call. It'll be fantastic, and you're going to be treated to a real fantastic series. Those two teams are very good.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to Game 1 tonight. Should be a good time. We'll talk to you later, Craig.
Thanks.
There you go. That is Craig Button, brought to you by Pro-Am Sports. Gear up for game day with Pro-Am Sports. Hop online at proamsports.ca or swing by and see the Cooks and Boys. If you're looking for some of those Oilers jerseys, they've got a bunch of them online. Go check out the website or just swing on by the store as well. And the guys will look after you and talk some Oilers with you as well. Just north of the Yellowhead, St. Albert Trail and 128th Ave.